This is a special report. News out of Germany today is not good. Germany arrested 25 people accused of plotting a coup. 25 people have been arrested and raged across Germany on suspicion of plotting to overthrow the government. A group of far-right and ex-military figures said to have prepared for Day X to storm the Reichstag Parliament building and seize power. A man named Heinrich the 13th from an old aristocratic family is alleged to have been central to their plans. According to federal prosecutors, he is one of two alleged ringleaders among those arrested across 11 German states. Plotters said to include members of the extremist Reichsbürger, or Citizens of the Reich movement, who have long been in the sights of German police for violent attacks and racist anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Other suspects come from the QAnon movement who believe the country is in the hands of a mythical deep state involving secret powers pulling the political strings. An estimated 50 men and women were said to have been part of the group, which allegedly plotted to overthrow the Republic and place it with a new state modeled on the Germany of 1871, an empire called the Second Reich. 3,000 officers took part in 150 operations in 11 of Germany's 16 states, with 2 people arrested in Austria and Italy. Most of the arrests took place in Baden-Württemberg and Bavaria. More than 1 in 5 Reichsbürgers are thought to be based in the southwestern state of Baden-Württemberg alone. Justice Minister Marco Buschmann tweeted that a suspected armed attack on constitutional bodies was planned. Federal prosecutor's office said the group had been plotting a violent coup since November of 2021, and members of its Central Rat, or council, have since held regular meetings. They had already established plans to rule Germany, with departments covering health, justice, foreign affairs, and others. Members understood they could only realize their goal by military means and violence against state representatives, which included killing people. Investigators are thought to have got wind of the group when they uncovered a kidnap plot last April involving a gang who called themselves United Patriots. They had planned to abduct Health Minister Karl Lauterbach, as well as creating civil war conditions. A former far-right AfD member of the lower house of parliament, the Bundestag, is suspected of being part of the plot and of being lined up as the group's justice minister. Brigitte Malsack-Winkman, who was among the 25 people arrested, returned to her role as a judge last year, and the court has since turned down attempts to dislodge her. I bet they get her out this time. A prominent lawyer was penciled in to handle the group's foreign affairs, with 71-year-old Heinrich the 13th as the leader. Public Prosecutor General Peter Frank said Heinrich was among suspects whom investigating judges had asked to be held in custody. Heinrich the 13th styles himself as a prince and comes from an old noble family from the House of Reuss, which ruled parts of the modern eastern state of Thuringia until 1918. The descendants still own a few castles, and Heinrich himself is said to have a hunting lodge in Baden-Lohnstein in Thuringia. The rest of the family has distanced themselves from him, probably because he's a kook. Reichsbürgers for years were a source of national derision and dismissed as crackpots. Members don't recognize the post-war German state and reject the authority of its government. Despite the name, which translates to Citizens of the Reich, this is no organized national movement, rather a disparate set of small groups and individuals scattered across the country who share united beliefs. Some print their own currency and identity cards and dream of creating their own autonomous state. Earlier this year, a group calling itself Königsreich Deutschland, Kingdom of Deutschland, bought 2 pieces of property in Saxony upon which they intended to create their own self-administered state. Others refused to pay taxes or clog up local administration by sending large volumes of often abusive letters, and many of them have guns. Some legally, some otherwise. According to Al Jazeera, among the people arrested was a Russian citizen. It is suggested that these people have believed that there is a deep state operating in Germany, which is antithetical to Germany's interests, and that this Russian national with others may have tried to approach the Russian Federation for some assistance. It is not known what sort of contact they had and what happened from those contacts, if they indeed happened. The Kremlin said later on Wednesday there could be no question of Russian involvement in the coup plot. This appears to be a German internal problem spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters there can be no question of any Russian interference. I served in the army back in the early 80s. There was a group which started off with the name Bader Meinhof Gang and later became known as the Red Army faction. While they operated out of East Berlin, fact of the matter was they were controlled by the Soviet Union, the Russians, and they were controlled by the KGB. And with a KGB officer as the president now, this commentator has no doubt the Russians were in this up to their hips and are just trying to play it off. While I don't think they could have pulled this coup off, I do not believe that Russia was not involved. This is too much like the modus operandi that they used during the Cold War with the Red Army faction. The German government for years fought against that group, and sometimes they were successful, sometimes they weren't, but they were definitely controlled by Moscow, and I believe that there is probably a deeper involvement in the Reichsbürger movement by the Russian government than not. It seems awfully convenient that Germany has to deal with a potential coup, which really got started a little over a year ago, just a couple of months before the war started. I see a problem here. Maybe I'm just crazy. There'll be a regular video later on. Thanks for hearing me out.